Hey, this is Jedi Johnson 22. This is a brand new show we're starting here, or at least going to give it a try, called Between Two Forces. And my co host,
Darth Ramrugason.
so what this show is all about is Darth is a self proclaimed expert and enthusiast of all things Star Wars. So I think he knows a little bit what he's talking about. So we're gonna put him to the test, and there's some things he wants to cover. So I'm going to ask him a couple of questions, and being the good Jedi that I am, I might try to trick him up a little bit, try and conquer the Dark Lord over there. But so I'm going to ask some questions on my own, and then have some good folks give me some questions that they were interested in. They dropped it on my IG. So in the future, if this show takes off, if it catches on, and you got a question for Darth, you hit us up on IG, and we'll get your questions in there. Darth, before we begin, anything you want to say?
No, looking forward to it. I think it's something that should be fun, actually.
All right. Well, famous last words. We'll see. See how fun this is for you. Okay. So, question number one. In episode Who Cares? We see Kylo Ren wave off from blowing up the Starship Bridge where Leia stood. He just couldn't kill his mom. But in the previous episode, we saw Kylo Ren gut his father with a lightsaber. Was Han just a crappy dad? What's going on there?
Excuse me, I've never heard it word quite like that before. A crappy dad. Maybe. Okay, let me put my personal feelings aside first. Let's let's go with what we know. Okay, what do we do know? Han and Leia have a kid. He's of course force sensitive. Somewhere, some point of his life, he gets sent off by Leia to go train with Luke.
They didn't want him.
They didn't want him. Uh, he could feel, and in a line in Force Awakens, Han Solo says there's too much Vader in him, and Leia's like, that's why I sent him off to go get trained with Luke. Now, as far as being a crappy dad, I kind of almost compare it to sending your kids off to boarding school if you don't want them. Now, I know there's a reason for boarding school, but if you don't just want them, you send them off. So I guess there would be kind of much resentment from Kylo to his parents. Um, as far as him killing his dad, he did have a better connection with his mother, in my opinion, than his father.
He's a
Only
mama's boy.
because,
Okay.
yeah, only because they both had the Force. They both could feel each other's feelings and things like that. He didn't have that with his father. He didn't know what his father was going through, and his father didn't know what he was
Hmm.
going through. So I don't see him being a crappy dad, maybe an inadequate father, but not
Well, he did leave,
necessarily.
right? I mean, he abandoned both
Well,
him and his mother.
yeah, he got Skylo got well, Ben got sent off, and then that caused the separation between Han and Leia, and then Han left. So at least that's the way I saw it. I could understand it. It would kind of like be like a Jonathan Kent Superman kind of thing, where you don't feel like you know what's going on because it's not you. You don't understand these powers, but Han Solo just being inadequate, maybe that's probably the best way. And the reason I don't
So,
think he killed his mom is because again they have that connection in the Force.
okay, because I know you and I have talked about this when you corner me and make me talk about it. So you and I have talked about this, and you talked before about the duality, if you will, of Kylo, but he was kind of torn between the dark and the light.
Right.
And one of the things I brought up was, so did Han just catch him on a dark day, and was Leia fortunate enough to catch him on a light day when he didn't blow her up? So is that the way it is? Is he just moody?
Well, he is moody, and a lot of people say he is emo, and I do agree with that. And the reason that I think he's emo is because he says it in the movie. I'm torn between the light and the dark. I'm being torn apart. So he has that emotion. So when Han catches him,
And
and
that's why they sent him to military school, right? Or
yeah,
Jedi Academy.
our Jedi Academy, yeah, exactly, they sent him away.
He
So
needed some structure.
yeah, he needs some structure from Luke, which apparently he didn't get quick enough.
Damn near killed him.
Yeah. which is another question probably for the future, but we'll get
Writing that down.
there. Yeah. But like I said, Han Solo not necessarily caught him on a bad day. He just knew it. Like you said in the movie, I know what I have to do, but I don't have the strength to do it. And I think that's a big part of the movie, that he was presented to Snoke. He was presenting himself to Snoke to say, "Yes, I am dark. This is the way I am. Accept me." And I guess that's where Han Solo caught him. So.
So Han was not a crappy dad, in your opinion. He was number one dad and deserved a mug, right? Is that what you're saying?
I'm not saying he wasn't a crappy dad. I'm just saying maybe an inadequate father that relied on somebody else to raise his kid. And being a father, and I know you know this, it doesn't come with a rules manual. You know, like, all right, chapter 2 means you do this. So, I mean, I think he did the best he could, which a lot of fathers don't, unfortunately.
Maybe Han and Leia should have had another kid, and they could get it right the second time, because that's what I did.
That's quite possible.
No, I hope my older son doesn't see this. Okay. All right, let's move on to the second question. This question is from me. In episode It Really Doesn't Matter, we see Rey hand Luke a lightsaber, and Luke just throws it away immediately. So is this because Luke loses everything anyway? He's always losing stuff, and the writers just wanted to get it over with?
No, that's not what I saw. And I didn't see this on the first viewing. The first viewing I was.
So you admit he does lose everything.
He does lose. Yeah, he does lose a lot. But if you put yourself in Luke Skywalker's position and you look at his character arc from A New Hope all the way to The Last Jedi, you can actually see, at least in my opinion, why he throws it away. Now, whether you agree with the character arc or not, we'll talk about that later, probably not this episode mainly, but maybe in other episodes. But the character arc of Luke, he rarely has a happy moment if you actually look at it. I mean, he goes from a farm boy to being told that he gets presented a lightsaber and says, "This was your dad's." He meets
kind
a
of
mentor.
A downer.
Yeah, he is. I mean,
he's a downer for
let's
sure.
Look at it, right? So he gets told, "Hey, this was your dad's." His mentors, his aunt and uncle, get killed. He goes on this journey. He meets other people. Kisses his sister. Oh, he kisses in the next movie. But then
gotta leave a scar.
Exactly. Then he loses another mentor. He blows up a Death Star has hundreds of thousands of people in it, which would affect you. Then
you think that weighed on his conscience? I never thought of that before. Do you think all those deaths weighed on his conscience? This is
to be honest, yes. I mean, I don't know anybody personally that did Hiroshima, but I'm pretty sure after that bomb was set, they were just like,
"Well, yeah, I'm not gonna." I never considered that. That's a good point.
Yeah, and then in Empire he almost dies on Hoth, and then he gets saved again, and then he goes and visits Yoda. He learns something. He learns a lot from Yoda. Then gets confronted by the man who killed his father, and then gets told that not only is his father alive, but he's that guy that you're fighting that literally chopped your hand off. Then he goes on to another adventure, and then there's so much just in the original trilogy alone. There's very little bit of happiness, and then we get to at the very end where his father dies in his arms. Not only did Obi-Wan, Yoda, but now his father's dying in his arms. So now he has to pick up the pieces, rebuild the Jedi Order, and he does a great job from what we're told. And then something happens to where Ben Solo comes in, and he's already too dark. And an action that he did causes the death and destruction of something he just built and everything he cares about. And he actually says in the movie, he says, Ben Solo will cause death and destruction to everything I care about. And then everything gets blown up. Everything that he built gets blown up. His entire life is pretty much just a downer. And then he goes to an island, cuts himself off in the forest, and goes there to die. And then people think that it's some random woman walking up to him saying, here's the very thing that started you on this journey. Here it is. And he's like, I don't want this. I'm trying to get away with this. So my first viewing of that, I was like, that's weird. He threw it away. But as you actually put yourself in that character's position, there was a reason he threw that. And there was a good reason. If you look at his life in its entirety. So that's what I saw.
Okay. So
Yeah.
so that, I mean, that makes sense. So he just didn't want nothing to do with that lightsaber. He was cursed, kind of like the talisman on the Brady Bunch. Just get rid of that thing. Just
Yeah.
get rid of it. All
And
right.
what a lot of people think is, what would you do in that position? Because if somebody presented you with a lightsaber, you'd be like, oh yes, my lightsaber. I'll kick it. A lot of people don't put themselves in the character position. I think that's where the problem is. Because I had that problem too. I was like, why would you throw that away? And then I started thinking about the character of Luke and what he's gone through. Okay, I could see why he threw the lightsabers.
Interesting. Interesting. Okay. Well, that answers that. Hope everyone is now on board with Luke and stop calling him a sore, sad person who.
Now, again, if you didn't like the character arc, like what they did, then that's something completely different. But that's,
So you're saying
why
if you just didn't like Luke, you're just not gonna like Luke.
you're just not gonna like it. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So let's move on. So this question comes from was sent to me on IG. And again, if you want your questions to go to the Dark Lord for his insight and dark wisdom, just hit us up on IG and we'll work with you.
Or you can do it in the comments too. You can do it in the comments.
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Let's get rid of this question because we're done with that. So this next question comes from SW Sequels UK. Spelled sequels with two S's on the end. That's weird. So thank you, SW Sequels UK. Appreciate the question. So the question is, do you think that the Fathiers crashing through Canto Bight and later the O-Backs running atop the Star Destroyer Steadfast were symbolism for the way Kathleen Kennedy and the sequels trampled on the hopes of Star Wars fans everywhere?
Hang on. I just never heard it. Like, that's interesting. Let's look at the Canto Bight scene first before we start looking at the Orbacks.
Yeah, SW Sequels UK
Yeah.
really has a way with words. I think he or she may be onto something.
The Canto Bight scene. The story between Rose and Finn. She starts off starstruck. He's on a pedestal. They meet. He tries to escape, and that brings him off that pedestal. And she's just, I can't believe the way you are. The Canto Bight scene, in my opinion, is just a rebuilding of her affection toward him. And when he's there and he's looking at the Fathiers and seeing the children, I think it's very important that he actually brings, not necessarily her putting him back on that pedestal again, but brings that relationship between them two back, because it is going to be important, in my opinion. So them destroying that town with those animals, I actually don't think that Kathleen Kennedy had anything to do with that, because she is just an executive producer. But I think that scene was them rebuilding him being brought up in her eyes. That's what I think.
If Kathleen Kennedy is going to get on camera and take credit for the good things, I really think we have to hold her accountable and really hold her feet to the fire. And if somebody has a question, this is a legitimate question. So you think Kathleen Kennedy has no ill intent here? Nothing, no subliminal messaging.
If there's any kind of subliminal messaging, is maybe animal rights. That's the only thing that I could possibly think of, is because I believe she's a big animal rights person. So maybe that's
a good
again,
thing.
That's just my personal opinion. I don't know Kathleen, and if I had a conversation with her, yeah, we talk more about something else than besides the animals involved. Now the Orback situation, I understand why they did it. That they didn't want their speeder bikes to get shut down or being targeted or anything like that. But I actually,
well, let's get before you get into some of the really messaging or why they did what they did. Let's just get past one of the initial criticisms of that scene. Is you have these horse-like creatures riding atop of a Star Destroyer in flight. So did they have like magnetic horseshoes on? How are they staying on this starship?
Well, the ship is an Atmo. I mean, the ship is it's moving, but it's not moving at a really big pace. I mean, so they're just on a platform that's way up high. So it's not that they need magnetic hooves or anything like that. It's just a flat platform. Now we did see it. I believe it was the Force Unleashed games, where Starkiller was running on top of Star Destroyers. So it's not the first time we've ever seen that before. It's just the first time we've ever seen, from my knowledge, an animal being utilized as a weapon to conquer the bigger evil First Order, or the bigger giant machine, I should say. So
So it is possible for horses to run on top of a starship.
if we had the ability to have, and I do mean us, if we had the ability to have a ship maintain an altitude perfect, in my opinion, you could run across it. I mean, and you could have horses on there. I mean, it's big enough, it's flat enough. So yeah, absolutely. I mean,
Okay.
it's not like it was inverted or anything like that. I mean, it was literally Mexico was down here and it was up here and it was in the atmosphere. So yeah.
So you're not a member of like some Kathleen Kennedy fan club or anything. You are impartial here. You're not just trying to sell us a line.
No, no. I don't know her. I've seen her a few times, but that was only at Star Wars Celebrations.
Did she
I'm
look at you like she wanted to kill you? I mean, was she
uh,
evil?
no, not even a little bit.
No.
I don't even think she picked me out in the crowd, to be honest. I was only like
Hmm.
maybe 15 rows deep the first couple of times I saw her. So
I bet
uh,
she saw you.
maybe I'm just like,
I bet she
she
did.
did not see me. No, I'm not a member of a fan club or anything like that. So no,
All right.
but both those things, no, I don't think it's any kind of symbolism to trample on Star Wars fans.
So it was inadvertent, basically, what you're saying.
I didn't say it was
She
inadvertent.
didn't mean to do it, but I mean, it happened, right?
Well, those two things did happen, and if you took it that way, hey, I'm not going to say you're wrong. I take Star Wars a lot differently than other people. I will never say anybody's Star Wars version is wrong. I'll just give you my opinion, my version. That's it. So
All right. All right. Let's move on. Now that you've defended her. Last question, Dark Lord.
mhm.
Darth Ram Rugenson. That's never gonna get that. That's never gonna be easy for me to say. I don't know. Okay, we'll work on it. All right, last question. And again, this is from IG. Thank you, C3PO Rules. That
Rules.
is such a great IG name. All right. Hey, this is totally random. I didn't. No, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Were you happy with the way the sequels ended, or like so many, were you just happy it ended? Were you just glad it's over?
To me, at first, the first viewing, I was happy. I wasn't ecstatic. I wasn't just like, oh, they're finally over. Finally have a conclusion.
Wait,
Um,
first viewing, how many times you see it in the theater?
in the theater, you're talking about the Rise of Skywalker. I saw it 11
Any
times.
of them, basically.
I saw it 11 times in the theater. 10, 11,
Which
somewhere
one?
in there. I think
Rise.
it was 11, to be honest.
Which one was
Uh,
this?
the Rise of Skywalker.
Okay, so
Well,
uh, how many? How many? What about the final one when it was over?
the
The
final
last
one, I
one.
saw I saw it. Me and my friends rented out an 80
Oh,
person
that
theater.
was Rise of Skywalker.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah. Rise of Skywalker was
not
the
how.
last one.
That's not what I call it, but okay, Rise of Skywalker. Okay, and you know, how many times did you see it more than once in one day?
The Rise of Skywalker, I saw in a 24-hour period. Yes, I saw it more than once. The other
And
two I saw back to.
that's because you bought the big popcorn and you just wanted the refill, right? That's the only reason you did it. You wanted to get the tub refill.
Well, the Rise of Skywalker, me and my friends rented out a 80-person theater, and we saw it all together. It was the
Wait a
conclusion.
minute,
It
you
was
have friends that also like the
yes,
sequels?
absolutely.
Are you a cult? Do you live in like a compound somewhere?
Hey, we don't talk about that stuff.
Okay.
Can't talk about it out loud.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I didn't mean
Um,
to push.
no, it's okay. I was happy that the way they ended because, in my opinion, it opens the door for other things. But I didn't get that on the first viewing. I started getting on the second, and around the third, fourth viewing, I was like, okay, this has a potential future. Not just the Skywalker saga is over, but I think that if they were to create more, it would be a Skywalker legacy, not the Skywalker saga. So yeah, I was happy, but it took a couple of viewings.
Yeah. Well, I just wanted to know how many viewings, because I mean that will give me a goal. That means I have to watch it that many times
Well,
before I.
I saw it. I want to say I saw the Rise of Skywalker 11 times in the theater. Since then, Disney Plus, I have it on my phone. I've viewed it at least once every month that it's come out.
You have it downloaded on your phone.
No, you can on Disney Plus.
Oh, yeah, Disney Plus on your phone.
Disney Plus, yeah.
All right. Okay. Okay, there, Darth Rugasan. I'm just going to call you Darth or Dark Lord from now on.
That's fine.
So, no, that's all the questions we have today. Any final words?
Again, I'm not saying that I'm right or I'm wrong. Again, I don't work for Lucasfilm, guys. And I will never say that you're wrong, but if you want to have a discussion, you can either throw it up in the comments, send us up on IG, and I'm always down to discuss Star Wars. So.
No, he's not lying. He's telling the truth.
I'm always down.
Okay. Hey, so that's it for this first pilot episode of Between Two Forces. We hope you enjoyed it. If you did, give us a thumbs up, give us a like, give us lots of views. Subscribe to Rennavision. We're always putting out good content, doing our best. And, just drop us a line, either IG or in the comments. So with that said, I'm going to give one more. Anything else?
Oh, may the Force be with you all.
All right. Hopefully we'll see everybody in episode 2. Have a great one.